Right. My name is Samson Sibanda. I'm a coordinator for GMC in Binga district. I am, and I think my experience during this COVID-19 that we're working on is that we had been going around to the areas where we were doing awareness campaigns for the COVID-19. And those awareness were actually imparting people with the knowledge on what is COVID-19 and how it affects the community, the families, and the whole entire country.
So what was the impact of?
The impact of that one, I could see people kind of changing their behavior, doing differently the way how they used to do, to see that now the COVID is real. So they started practicing safety for their families and for everyone around them. Even if you go to the hospital, the old pamphlets that I have, they are in Ndebele, in Shona, and English. Nothing in Tonga. So a Tonga person picks a paper, is given, throws it away. So what we did is like maybe we tried through the GMC to translate all the information about COVID-19 into Tonga language. Whatever we sent to the groups was translated into Tonga language so that everybody is accommodated. Okay, on kind of behavior change, because I'm working with the rural areas, you would find people now, as I was saying, that people now trying to, as they come to the borehole, they start washing the borehole before they can use it. And now we could find that what they've changed again is that each and every ward, they have what they call a COVID-19 committee that checks into every meeting whether things have been done in the correct way. You know, and the village heads are also involved in such a committee. You know, so no meeting will be done without checking whether it's done in a correct way.
Okay, my name is Livson Chauke. I am the coordinator for GIZ District Gender and Media Connect. Since I started working, the main highlight of my engagement is realizing that people sometimes do not do things not because they can't, but because they are not aware that they are expected to do something. For example, when we went to an area in Chiredzi North constituency, Ward 20, for an awareness program, in the community, they had two special cases of which caused a lot of pain for that society and a particular family, of a boy belonging to another family who was sick. He had some blocked tubes to his urinary tract. They had him in the community complaining about his health, he's not doing well, there is no man and what have you. But after our awareness program about the effects of COVID-19 and lockdown, that people are no longer able to look after their families, they can't feed their families, they can't pay for fees, they can't pay medical bills. We told people not to think about themselves alone, think about other people. That was the main issue we raised among them. We said, you may have a problem, but you can still be a solution to somebody's problem. So after that interview, when we were about to leave, those two women came around and say, hey guys, I've got a nephew of mine. His parents were working in South Africa. When lockdown hit Johannesburg, they couldn't work, so they couldn't afford food, rent, and medication. They had to send back their little child with their mother via the illegal route across the Limpopo, where they could at least find food at home, where food is easily accessible. But the boy is sick. He cannot pass urine well. He cries when he wants to pass urine. What can we do? Immediately, we just thought we had a little something there, and they needed about $10 to take the boy to the doctor, just for transport. So we provided them with $10, and they took the boy to the doctor. After a few days, they reported that now the boy is now passing urine well. He's no longer crying when his bladder is full. Although the swelling around his organs was still there, but he wasn't complaining about the pains when the bladder is full.
The area is quite, it's very politicized to a point that even the people at the grassroots, when you wanted to interview them or talk to them, they will refer you to their village head. It's a process, it's a long process. They will say, and we need clearance from the village head. So the village head will say, for me to talk to allow the people to talk to you, I need permission from the headman. And the headman will say, for me to allow the village head to give permission to the villagers to talk to you, I need permission from the district, or they call them district coordinators. They used to be administrators. He also needs permission from the provincial coordinator for him to allow all these structures to be able to talk to anyone. So the whole process was kind of going in circles. But I managed to talk to some, and they gave me their positions on COVID, their misgivings, their questions, the issues around COVID, which I was hoping the program would help them, assist them in understanding, to unravel the myths around COVID, all that kind of thing. What I would probably recommend is we need to really do groundwork to really understand the political terrain in rural areas before actually implementing a program as such. Because the way it is, we probably took for granted that the COVID crisis is global, and obviously the government will be interested in having people understand more about it. We take it for granted, but not knowing that in Zimbabwe, everything, including information, is controlled.
These 3 workshops have helped us a lot. First, we have managed to know how to check facts on stories which you want to report. Secondly, it also taught us on how to reach out our sources, then how to balance the sources, comparing sources. Marondera, there is a water challenge, but since the start of COVID, we started to write a story about the pertinent of water, and then the Marondera municipality take heed of it, and they upgraded the system. Now the Marondera residents, they are now receiving water almost a daily basis.
These workshops have helped me a lot in health reporting, especially in this time of COVID-19, where I didn't know where to start from, but now I know how to come up with questions. I know how to come up with topics to report on, how to engage the community, how to engage the government, how to ask questions that affect people on their health.
I'm a freelance journalist in Masvingo. I contribute for various media houses. And from the workshops we had, the 3 training workshops we had with Gender Media Connect, I learned a lot. I used to limit myself when I was writing stories on COVID-19. I used to focus on the statistics by the Ministry of Health. I couldn't explore more ideas, but from the workshops we had, I discovered that there was more to report on. There was many story ideas that we explored during the workshops, and then I took the experience I had there and I started writing more stories on COVID-19. I discovered that in the rural areas, less was being said or reported on COVID-19, so that's what I focused on. And there was a story I wrote on the Zaka isolation clinic. The medical officer in Zaka was very happy when I told him I was chasing the story, because we were saying it seems as if government had forgotten that the Zaka clinic, the Ndanga clinic, they were supposed to be an isolation center. After the story was published, then he called me, and then he said the government, they called him, and then they said they were going to help them like refurbish the room, the ward that we wanted to use for the isolation center. And he said they were even given roofing sheets, and then they said even ventilators were on the way.
Infections, the workshop is helping me focus on those 30 people. Who are those people? Are they breadwinners? They belong to which age group? And how is their death impacting the economy, the public sector, the private sector, and all these other issues. So I think I've really learned how to, to focus on the human interest that comes with, that comes with COVID-19 as a pandemic, the deaths, the new cases, and all the changes that it has brought into our daily lives.
It's played a pivotal role, because during the training we were given sort of like guidelines on things to look out for and on what to focus on during COVID-19, because it was not all about getting statistics. We had to look at other issues like access to information. And during COVID-19, when it started, we had the lockdown. The part of sourcing was also difficult, and accessing information from the government. So the verification process of getting information, we also tipped on how to get information, because this was a new pandemic that had affected almost everyone, like the whole world. And at the end of the day, people needed to be informed on a daily basis. When we started, it was not easy, but as the time went on, I, for myself, we started. At first, the employer didn't want to use WhatsApp, but during COVID, WhatsApp became an official tool that we could use to gather information. Even up to today, we trust WhatsApp to gather information, like getting voice notes, because I do for the radio.
In health, so far the trainings that I've received from GMC have been very helpful, because I've managed to change the way I used to write, particularly in regards to COVID-19. Initially, when this virus came about, we did not know how to go about it, things of safety, how we can write impactful stories. But we learned here at GMC that we have to write stories with the human face. So now that we've learned that, I've managed to bring out that aspect very much, and the stories have changed a lot of lives. We've managed to get a directory of sources of females that we can use in our reportage. Before, we didn't have all that, so we're stuck with the same old, the same women as sources. But now we have a variety of women, which means diverse voices and views. So it has been very impactful. I've also shared that same directory with other people, and it has changed the like the number of sources that we have in our articles below. Before, we used to have maybe stories with one woman speaking, but now we've got the advantage of having maybe 2 or 3 women speaking in a story, influential women, and even the women at grassroots levels. The stories that I feel have made a big impact, there's this one story about a family in Bulawayo that had 5 of its members testing positive for COVID-19, and the youngest was 3 years old. When I wrote that story, I got calls from as far as Australia, Canada, Kenya, with people who wanted to assist that family. So they ended up getting like wholesome assistance in terms of foodstuffs, because they couldn't go out to look for their own food, and that was at the peak of the virus in Zimbabwe. So they couldn't go out, they couldn't get medication, they couldn't get any form of support. So my article managed to bring in a number of people and even NGOs that offered financial support, psychosocial support to those victims. And today even we have the soccer team, Highlanders, managed to go to that family and assist the young child who was failing to go back to the way of life she was used to, like going to the shops. So the football team came and walked with her to the shops to show that she had survived COVID and she was now fine and she was able to lead a normal life. Areas that I think we can be trained on, I think the issue of sexual harassment in newsrooms is still a big issue, and women and female journalists are not reporting these cases, which is a cause for concern. So I think we need to get more training in that area.